All right, welcome to Lights Camera Barstool week of, I guess, the 14th. Couple of news items to get to, and also pretty big interview, pretty big live interview we're going to hit at some point. I didn't mean to, but we're accidentally going to be. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to wait until we get to the point, but because Gooch doesn't even know about this.
I'm not prepared, Kenjac.
We're not prepared at all, which is good. But yeah, so we have a couple of news items to get to first, and then also we'll give a quick thoughts about it. I feel like HBO's got like 10 shows running right now, and they're all pretty good, and there's some other things going on as well, and as well as some movies, but mostly quick thoughts on movies. There's a lot of news to catch up with. First up being that Lionsgate. This was a tough one to have come out. Lionsgate said that they had Chad Stahelski come in and reshoot Ballerina for 2 to 3 months. We just talked about when
that's the whole movie.
That's basically the entire thing.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing like almost even like a Marvel movie, like that's 2 to 3 months. That's so long.
So long.
So we talked a little bit about it when the Ballerina trailer came out. We're like, oh, this looks good. And I kind of gave my hesitations because I was like, well, Len Wiseman's filmography is not great. It's basically just the Underworld movies. And like, that's it. And we talked a little bit about that. I'm like, well, the trailer looks good. And I guess the trailer looks good because Stahelski came back and just reshot this entire movie.
Yeah, that is hilarious. I mean, what were they expecting when they hired Len Wiseman, of all people, to come into the John Wick world and take over? Was he going to bring anything from Live Free or Die Hard onto the set that, other directors couldn't? Absurd.
It was kind of a crazy thing, especially after the Continental, pretty much crashed and burned. And actually saw a funny interview recently. I think someone posted on Twitter after this news dropped, where was it Ian McShane was sitting on the couch, and he's basically just explaining how he's like, yeah, at first when Ballerina, where they were doing it, like they didn't ask us about shit, and then when the the Continental series came out, they didn't ask us about anything. They just did it. So it was like it was good to have Stahelski come back and just kind of give us a little bit of more guidance, because they have to protect the franchise at this point, because this movie, especially because this movie takes place between 3 and 4. So I don't know. It gives me, honestly, like at first it's like, ooh, but it's but like the secondary reaction is, oh, well, that just means there's a new Chad Stahelski John Wick movie, which is good.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where it's almost like his name. We'll see when it comes out, but it does feel like one of those situations where his name probably should be in the directed by. Still, if you're doing 2 to 3 months, 2 to 3 months of reshoots is truly an entire film.
How long did the Joss Whedon, Zack,
the Justice League
Snyder? Yeah,
I have no idea. I know those were very extensive changes too, though. At least that's what Snyder Bros have been telling me for years.
Yeah,
the whole movie got flipped.
Let's see, approximately 55 days. So and those are pretty extensive too, at least based on what we got out of the Snyder Cut and all the other shit. But like, that's crazy.
I hope it's good. Like you said, Continental is so bad, and we both think that I think this franchise has potential. Hate looking at it that way, but like as like an IP, but like there's a lot of shit on the bone there. Like plenty of stuff to get to.
And again, we said this with the first trailer, like so many different franchises have tried to do this like secret society of assassins thing. And like, this is like the one of the few that got it and did it right, and people like it. And it's just a cool world. Good lore. Yeah. Next up, Terrifier 3 is number 1 in the US box office. There's like a split on this where part of it is, look, we're in Halloween. Horror movies, no matter what, horror movies are typically do very well domestically. Horror movie in October, part of a franchise that has a lot of word of mouth appeal. Sure. I think more people should be talking about The Wild Robot, but whatever. It makes me sad because Terrifier, we talked about it when we had Jeff on too. You're a freak if you like these movies. You're just a straight up freak.
It's not good, and this box office return has got me thinking, like, am I an old head? Like, am I just an old head? Like, is this one of those things where I don't get it? Like, where my parents hated Saw and like didn't get the creepy little clown puppeteer? I don't know, but I feel like the Saw movies were like well made, or like at least the first one was like a good movie. I haven't seen Terrifier 1, but Terrifier 2 is a pile of shit. Like, that's a bad movie.
the thing with Saw is like Saw has like driving factors to it, right? Like there's more to Saw. Like you have like whatever ethos, pathos, whatever the shit they want to apply to it. Like you have all that in Saw. You don't have that in Terrifier. It's just you're watching a compilation of disgusting gore. Like that is the only reason you're sitting down to watch it. It's like watching like fucking like America's Funniest Home Videos, but gore. It's like there's no, you're not following a story here, really.
No, I'm truly shocked that this opened at number 1. I mean, I know it has a fan base. Like I'm well aware that it has a fan base, but I thought the fan base was, itsy bitsy, like very niche,
very loud,
like, very loud. This means that it is fully like he's a thing. Like he is very much a widespread like pop culture thing now.
Yeah, it's bad. And again, I
don't think it's going to move either. Like what's coming out?
It's a lack of lack of good available options too. I think like you're saying is like a huge part of that.
Like Saturday Night, I think finished 7th. I don't think it's fully wide yet.
Yeah,
like The Apprentice isn't going to knock it off. I don't really know what's going to kick it off the top spot. It's just going to be there.
Speaking of Saturday Night, I watched some of the skits from last night's, or 2 nights ago's.
Yeah.
The Ariana Grande ones. People were like, oh my God, Saturday Night Live is so back. I'm like, I didn't think these were particularly funny.
I was home, so my parents made me, because they're boomers, they made me watch Nate Bargatze's episode. Which
that one was like, good.
Yeah, it was
comparatively good. This one anyway.
Yeah. It's like SNL's always been. It's like 3 good sketches, maybe 2 good sketches, 1 okay, maybe a solid weekend update, and then like the rest is just like you're waiting for the sketch to end.
It was like the Bargatze one was like the highlight was the body down the slide thing, and then then the other ones were kind of like the people made a big deal out of that. What do you call it?
The American
Delaware.
Yeah, the cross. My parents loved it too, and I was like, haha, yeah.
I was just like, yeah, I get it.
I didn't want to be mean, but I was just like, yeah. We call things hot dogs.
Yeah. Speaking of another sequel, different sequel to a horror movie that I think is, at least to me, a better IP, Ready or Not is getting a second movie. Samara Weaving going to come back. I like the first Ready or Not a lot. I don't know how you do a second one.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of confused.
I don't get it, and especially if you're bringing back Samara Weaving, like if you're going to do that same thing, because it was kind of like tied into that family, so I don't know how you do a second version of it, but I did like the first one, and if they want to do more things like that, anytime you got people hunting people in like that sense, not in like, Leatherface or whatever, I'm in. I typically like those type of movies. Most Dangerous Game, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and I like that. I wish they were doing something different just with Samara Weaving, because I like their filmmaking style, like the fun horror comedy, kind of like fully leading into the horror and the comedy at the same time, instead of like trying to do a mixed like 75% comedy, 25% horror. Like, no, they're pretty even split. Go for it. And I liked Abigail decently earlier this year, so I'm excited for what they do next. I wish it wasn't this. Doesn't make one of those things where like it just doesn't make sense, but I'll be there. I mean, Samara Weaving doesn't get enough work. I was also looking at her filmography. Like she kind of blew up with that movie and then has not done much since. She had a nice little role in Babylon, but I can't think of anything else.
Give her one of those 8,000 roles that Nicole Kidman has taken over the last year. Yeah.
She'd be great in a rom-com. You're right.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. Honestly, what's her name? Who's the woman from Community and Bear? Gillian Jacobs? I feel like Gillian Jacobs and her run look too similar. So, does that make sense? And I feel like...
Wait. Oh, Gillian Jacobs. Okay. In my head, I immediately thought Gillian Anderson. I was like,
no, not that.
Did I black out? Right? Did I black out? And did my love of my life pop up in The Bear?
No. They... I think they look too similar. I think they run in too many of the same circles, maybe. We had the first trailer for The Order, movie about a neo-Nazi group in the 70s and 80s that like kills a radio host or something. Nick Holt, Jude Law, Ty Sheridan, Journey Smollett, directed by Justin Kurzel, who did Fassbender's Macbeth. Good movie. He did True History of the Kelly Gang, Australian movie, also pretty fucking good.
I haven't seen that.
That was a good one. George Mackay, Russell.
Love George Mackay.
Russell Crowe, a couple other good Australian actors in that. That was a pretty good one. And then Assassin's Creed. Just out of nowhere, what the fuck was that movie? But But this trailer looked cool. I mean, I like Jude Law playing a detective, or an FBI agent rather. I'm very interested in. I feel like he doesn't.
Yeah,
I haven't seen him in a role. He could fit that well, and I feel like I haven't seen him do that.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of been robbed of. We were robbed of Jude Law's talent for like 5 straight years because he got locked up doing those Fantastic Beast movies in the Pope show. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in this turn from him and Nicholas Hoult, who just has like this weird amount of range for such a plain looking white dude. Not plain, he's obviously very good looking, but you get my point. He can do, the X-Men movies as like the endearing hero and then turn right back around and do something like this. It's very James McAvoy-esque.
And do fucking, what's it called on Hulu? The Great. He's fantastic in The Great. Super funny. A lot of range in that too.
He's so hateable and lovable at the same time in that show. Like you're like, this guy is the biggest piece of shit ever, but every time he goes,
feel like empathy for him, right? It's weird. He looks cool. And he's gonna play that guy as a neo-Nazi in this, and like out of nowhere, it's fucking great.
Yeah, this is a crazy trailer.
Look cool. Very interested. Aaron Pierre, who we obviously hyped up a lot, and when they originally started these rumors, got cast as Jon Stewart in the Green Lantern series. Awesome, great pick. We talked about him a lot when they were talking about this earlier. Rebel Ridge, he was so good in. He just has the look. He has the physicality. Him and Kyle Chandler should be a great duo.
Yeah, I mean, this felt like a no-brainer. The second he walked onto the screen in Rebel Ridge, I think most DC fans who are even vaguely familiar with the Green Lantern character and Jon Stewart's iteration were like, yeah, he's the guy. He just has the look, the cadence of speech, like you said, he's just massive. He's built like a suit. If it wasn't this, it was going to be a different superhero. That man was going to be in a costume by the end of the year. Now I'm thinking, what else could he do?
Kang. Good to show.
This is great. Everything about this show has got me very excited. On top of the fact that the Penguin's just ripping. We'll talk about episode 4. But things are, for all the Zaslav shit, I don't know. James Gunn and Matt Reeves might pull DC just out of the gutter from sheer will. This looks good. This, like, on paper, this is a nice winning formula.
Keep in mind, DC hero shows so far blowing Marvel out of the water, qualitatively speaking. Like, not even remotely close. Like, eons ahead of them.
Have you been watching Agatha?
We'll talk. We'll get to Agatha. Christopher Nolan's next movie will star Matt Damon, and it will be an IMAX movie. They're keeping the details in the wraps. They initially said it was going to be like a father-son thing. Then they said, no, it's not. Again, obviously this combo just worked with obviously very well in Oppenheimer. He was great in that fit. Anything, I feel like a father-son, I mean, I would have said the same thing about Oppenheimer. When you're like, yeah, a father-son movie in IMAX, I'm like, how does it make this make sense? But I, again, would have said the same thing about like a biographer about a scientist, or a biopic about a scientist, and then Oppenheimer was amazing. So very interested in their combination, as I guess now will be the norm.
Yeah, you got me at, like, it's just Nolan. Like, just say Nolan and I'm in. He could cast whoever. He's just earned the trust at this point. It's really all. I mean, even with, I didn't love Tenet. I went back and rewatched Tenet when it did the re-release, the 5-year re-release, which I didn't know those were things. And I liked it quite a bit more, to be honest. So in his whole filmography, he really doesn't have a single miss for me at this point. There's no reason to doubt him. No. I do love the stories about, he told Warner Brothers to just fuck off.
Yeah.
Like he told them to just completely fuck off.
They screwed that up bad, man.
Like he wouldn't even let them hear like the script. Like he wouldn't let them hear like the pitch, which is insane, to be honest.
Zaslav, baby. Or I guess technically their split happened pre-Zaslav, but I mean, that's something that should have been, hey, mend this. That should be like your number one priority on your movie division. Is fix this.
Also, you can't forget Interstellar.
Yeah.
Come on. Matt Damon, Nolan collabs. This is 3 in 10 years too.
Forgot about
this
that.
Is like, we're entering Muse territory.
Yeah, a true Muse. Speaking of giant bombs, Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried will start an upcoming film adaptation of The Housemaid with Paul Feig. This story, bombs being boobs was what I meant there.
Okay.
I didn't mean like the movie is going to bomb.
I saw Amanda Seyfried like 2 weeks ago.
Did you
outside of the film festival? She's tiny, little, ways like she's got one of those faces where she looks like she'd be tall. Maybe it's in like the neck. I don't know how to explain it with some people, but she was like 5 feet tall. Absurd.
Follows a housemaid to a wealthy couple who discovers the family's secrets are far more dangerous than her own. Sydney Sweeney, I'm assuming, playing the housemaid here? Yes.
Yeah, I would assume so. It does sound kind of like Parasite meets like Made in Manhattan, kind of.
Yeah.
But do we trust Paul Feig as a filmmaker? That's the question. Like, how much? It really comes down to, I guess, how much did you like A Simple Favor? Right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think Simple Favor was good. So if that's the formula we're working off of here, then yes. If it's almost anything else from the last 10 years, no. So that's where that, at least in my head, with Paul Feig. There was something else. There was a show I think he directed recently where I was shocked to know he did it.
Trying to think of what he could have possibly done, like Big Little Lies. He wasn't involved on that, was he?
Let's see, what's he been up to? So I'm trying. What the fuck was it? Oh, Last Christmas. We talked about that recently. One of the craziest fucking endings I've ever watched in my life.
Last Christmas.
A bibliography. This guy's writing books. Oh, I forgot they're doing the Untitled Simple Favor sequel. Okay, so it was Jackpot was the movie I was forgetting. And Jackpot was a cool one with the John Cena and Awkwafina movie.
He did that?
Yeah, he directed and wrote that, or produced it.
Oh, and God.
Wrote it? No. But that movie was like an interesting enough concept, even if, or whatever, but I don't know. It wasn't that funny, is the problem.
Yeah, no, it wasn't at all. But I guess this movie's not really going to ask, for a lot of humor.
Presumably.
It's going to be a nice little erotic thriller, it sounds like.
Ridley Scott has started writing the script on Gladiator 3 already. He said he's like 10 pages deep into that one already.
Fuck yeah.
That would be like so interesting to me, like taking a 20-year break and then just ripping back-to-back sequels basically within like a few years of each other. Again, I mentioned this last time we saw when the latest Gladiator trailer came out. Every each time I see this trailer ahead of a movie, I think it's going to be bad, like worse. Like my evaluation of it goes down. And I don't know what it is. I think part of it is just Paul Mescal literally looks like he's like ripped drunk in every line delivery. And like, I don't mean like he physically is. I think like the character as he's acting. I don't know if the character's drunk or what, but like he just seems like he's like off his ass every time he talks.
See, that's not the CG is what bothers me in those trailers. That too,
not great.
Which I think I learned my lesson with Furiosa. That shit just gets polished up pretty nicely. Ridley Scott doing this. I really hope it's not like a direct sequel to 2. I guess the same way. I guess 2 is a direct sequel to 1 in a way, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I hope he doesn't bring back Paul Mescal and like this whole cast of characters for a round 2. Rather, just like do another period of Roman history. Or fuck it, Ridley. If this movie pops at the box office, maybe they'll let him do his little time traveling gladiator idea.
That one was. I still don't know how that would have physically worked. But I don't know.
I want to see him try.
Yeah.
I want to see him try.
Yeah, I'm interested at least in that part of it. There was the trailer for a complete unknown, the Bob Dylan story. Timothy Chalamet, Ed Norton, Elle Fanning, directed by James Mangold, who obviously has a lot of success in the musical biopic space. Just the biopic space in general, but also, again, with musical, as far as music biopics goes, like Walk the Line is like up near the very, very tippy top. So...
Oh yeah.
Everything about that's great. I think we mentioned this last time we talked about A Complete Unknown. I'm just like not a big Bob Dylan guy. I don't know.
They're not ready for my music. Yeah, I tell my fans to go fuck themselves.
Yeah,
that's what I say. They don't know what they want.
Every time I see the channel, I'm like, I know he had a tremendous contribution to American music. I know that. Yeah, I recognize it. It's just like I don't know. I'm not that interested in him.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, so did the Bee Gees, but I'm not asking for a Bee Gees biopic either. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I could probably, honestly, would be more interesting.
That'd be more interesting.
I keep seeing, and I'm sure you've seen this too, Timothy Chalamet's performance in A Complete Unknown being one of the top 5 for best picture best actor at the Oscars. These are odds right now.
They love
not
biopics,
out right now. They do love biopics, but Jesus.
Especially anytime someone sings, they just throw on top of that. I mean, fucking Rami Malek, he didn't even sing. He won the Oscar.
Just like, they're just, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have high hopes for this movie. I did see someone point out that he might be self-aware on the Walk Hard parody of Walk the Line with his Johnny Cash casting.
Yeah.
Like it feels like such an over-the-top performance from our boy Boyd Holbrook. I almost called him Hoyd Bolbrook.
He's too tall to play him, but he didn't look unlike
he's too
him.
handsome.
That too.
But yeah. They always in movies they'll always make Johnny Cash like way too handsome when he was just so ugly.
They put those big ass glasses on Boyd Holbrook's face so to just cover half his face, which makes it at least.
No, I'm really not excited for this. This will be one of those movies though. You go home for Christmas break, your family wants to go to the movies, and you're like, you don't want to take them to you can't take mom to Nosferatu.
No, hell no.
So you probably go see A Complete Unknown. It'll probably clean up at the box office for that exact reason.
Yeah. And then lastly, Joker 2 had an 81% second weekend drop, the worst of all time for any comic book movie ever. It's projected to lose $200 million. It's releasing on digital October 29th.
Like 2 weeks.
2 weeks. It's fucking crazy. That's insane for it to drop that quickly. An 81% drop alone is nuts. Not making any money is awful. The fact that the first Joker cost like $50 million to make and this one somehow costs like 4 times that is also crazy because like what they required almost nothing. Like they had a prisons set and a court set, and that was it.
I don't have the answers. I really don't. If I had to guess, it was probably Joaquin.
It's the musical asides. It was like that bullshit. Must have just ripped them a new one. I don't know. But yeah,
this is like we said after we came out of that movie, we both said it. Like people are asking me if they should go see that or Megalopolis, and I tell them Megalopolis every single time. I don't know who the Joker 2 movie is for. I really don't. I see some defenders popping up. They're not real people. I really don't know who he made this movie for, other than himself. Maybe it's bizarre. There's no one I could recommend
it are all like, oh, well, it's a big fuck you to anybody that likes the character of the Joker or like empathizes with the character of the Joker. Well, it's like, well, that's dumb. That makes
I don't even hate that, but it's just a bad movie on top of that. Like that could be fun in theory, like a big fuck you to your fan base, but it's a bad movie. It's bad and
everything
boring.
About it was bad. Everything, execution, top to bottom. I quoted some person. They did this big, long-winded explanation about that. But like, oh, don't you see? It's Todd Phillips like saying his big fuck you, blah blah blah. And it's like all that shit can be true. All of that can be true, and it can still be bad. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, whatever the intentions are, the movie can still suck, and that is 100% the case with Joker 2.
Yeah, I don't know. That's digital in 3 weeks for like a $200 million film is fucking unheard of. That's crazy. That's like COVID shit. Like it is disastrous.
Really, really bad. I don't even know. Would you want to rewatch this at any point?
The opening, I have defended that opening. I don't know if I'd ever like go out of my way to watch it, like pull it up on the Max app. But like I could pull it up on YouTube and watch that opening. There's like a couple parts that him and then him in the courtroom.
Yeah. The one scene where he does the foghorn leghorn shit. I'll watch that part on YouTube, and that's it.
Exactly. But no, like this will be hidden. Like even like when you go to the Max app and you click like DC heroes and villains, like you won't even be able to find it.
If you try and select it, it's gonna be like, are you sure? Like, are you positive you want to watch this?
It's a musical. Yeah. Like it gives you a warning.
All right. And before we get to the next section, we do have a special call-in, quick interview. Again, I'm eternally sorry. I don't know when the timing is on the episodes, but for Bussin' with the Boys, we do have a very special call coming in.
Oh my God.
From Mr. DJT, Donald Trump, the president. He wanted to give us his thoughts on Joker 2. And Mr. President, I have to say it's a really great honor to have you on the pod. I want to say, sorry, wait, you're cutting out. Say it again.
My good friend Kenjac, the honor is all mine. As you know, I've been a fan of yours since day one. A very long time. I miss Trill as well. I don't miss that rat, Jeff D. Blow, however. He refuses to answer me on the LCB Reddit.
Oh, that's
oh my God.
He doesn't answer anyone on the Reddit. I'm really sorry to hear that. But anyway, I heard you had some serious thoughts on the Joker 2.
Yes, I have some problems with that movie. Yes, some very big problems indeed. I think they treated Arthur Fleck very unfairly throughout the picture. First, they have him bust after just 4 strokes into Harley Quinn. My good friend Artie would never do that. He long stroked that crazy pussy.
Yeah, I agree. 4 strokes into Harley Quinn busting is just not something that Arthur Fleck would do. I'm really sorry that you also, just like us, had many problems with that. What other issues did you have with it?
Problem is that noted loser Todd Phillips had the guards sexually assault the Joker out of Arthur Fleck. Hardy would never let that happen. It's just ridiculous. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, sexually assaulting the Joker or Arthur Fleck until he's no longer the Joker was also a very interesting call. I would agree with you that that's not one I would make.
He sounds like he's very close to Arthur Fleck. He keeps calling him Artie.
Yeah, Artie. I don't know, but any other issues? What about the music? The music was good.
You know, I hated it. I really did. Lady Gaga on the track, and you can't let her sing anything cool. No Third Eye Blind, no Good Charlotte, no Sum 41. I think Todd Phillips belongs in prison. I really do. Maybe the guards could convince him not to direct anymore, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. No, we're not. I mean, that's probably, we don't need to do any more of that. I think that's all the time we have, but thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Wait, sorry, you're cutting out, sir.
You're very welcome, my friend. Tell Jeff D. Lowe that the juice is worth the squeeze.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we're cutting you off. The juice is worth the squeeze. Mr. President, we can't be saying that anymore.
I thought he was talking about Israel.
Oh, no, different juices. Thank you to our good friend over at I don't know where he would be living now. I was about to say the White House.
Suck it, Caller Daddy.
Yeah. Suck it, Caller Daddy and
Bussin'.
And Bussin'. Sorry. Again, I didn't know the scheduling there. So just 2 quick thoughts on two different movies. Saturday Night, which you watched, which just came out. I haven't seen it yet. I'm not busting down doors to try and do so. So just quick thoughts on that.
Yeah, I was pretty down on it coming out of the theater, like 50 out of 100 territory. I have come up a little into the 60, 65 range. It's simply not for me. It could be just familiarity with like all the cast and crew that are involved with that, where, I wanted more out of it. I think general audiences are going to like this. I'm not sure where it stands after its first weekend. It's very crowd pleasing. There's a Bohemian Rhapsody essence to it where it whips around, it gives you the highlights, it just shows you. You get about 10 minutes with every cast and crew member outside of Lorne Michaels, who you spend the majority of the movie with. So it's like the hits. You get the hits. It feels a little spread thin. And you know what? I watched a couple episodes of this weekend randomly and then realized by the second episode that it's what the Saturday night movie should have been. I watched The Offer for a couple episodes. A show that I think is pretty damn good, even if it's like just a Paramount ad. But there's not enough time in the Saturday night movie to really flesh out like all these different like things going on set, which by the way, there's way too much going on. It like starts at 90 minutes before showtime. And then they're like, this is all what's happening right up into the last minute. No way. But I think like a mini series would have done this a lot better. Outside of that, the cast, I do want to be clear, the cast and crew, because it does have like the massive, like basically Gen Z all-star squad on there. They're great. Pretty much across the board. The guy who plays Chevy Chase is fantastic. I think Corey Michael Smith is his name off the top of my head. Our friend of the pod, Dylan O'Brien, great as Dan Aykroyd. And Rachel Sennett, fantastic. And then Gabriel LaBelle, rising star for a reason. He probably about 20 years too young for this role, but he does a good job. And Cooper Hoffman, how can I forget? Always great.
The boss.
And Willem Dafoe, and you get to see J.K. Simmons' dick. I do have to put that out there. It's probably a prosthetic, but I hope not. It's huge.
So that's Saturday night. I watched Cattle Lake, which is a new, speaking of Dylan O'Brien, another DOB picture. Came out on Max. Not for me. Too slow. It was like not particularly interesting to me. I don't love the setting maybe it's just because I was watching True Blood 2 for the first time, but like something about New Orleans, Louisiana setting for a very slow, drawn out like story like that wasn't for me. This is not my thing.
Not using the setting to its fullest, what you'd say. Yeah.
I mean, it was just gross. Like,
oh, really?
I mean? Like, and that's fine if like you're leading into that, but it was just like, it was just gross, and that just added into this like mucked down feeling because like they're in the swamp the entire movie, like this drained lake, and I don't know, it just wasn't for me. I'm not saying I didn't even. I clocked out probably 3/4 the way forward, 3/4 the way through, and was just like, I'm gonna come back to this later. I never ended up going back to it, but it was slow. It was really slow.
How's Dylan O'Brien? I'm still waiting for him to just blow up, but it just has not happened.
He's really good. You know what I actually had on the background the other day was American Assassin. He's very good in that.
Oh yeah. Wait.
American Assassin.
Yeah, no. From my head went to American Animals, and I was like, "Wait, what the fuck? He was in that?" But yes, no, he's always good. He's always a treat when he comes on screen, and just not in anything.
And what was that movie he did with Zoe Deutsch? He
was not okay. So funny.
He was so fucking funny in that. Perfectly cast. I want to rewatch just to watch this scene again.
Yeah, just his scenes.
So now a few shows. First being The Penguin. This episode of The Penguin was goddamn awesome. It was, I would say, not only my favorite episode of this series, but just one of my favorite episodes of TV that I've seen in the last like year. Shout out to Lucy's.
Yeah, no, this was stepping up to the HBO mantle and being like, we're a fucking HBO show. Listen here. Fantastic. We'd heard about this episode for a while. If you're like following this shit at all, everyone was saying there's an episode in mid-season. It's the Chris Milioti. It's the Sophia Falcone episode, and it fucking delivered. Definitely will see her name on like a limited series Best Actress ballot, probably next year's Emmys. If you watch the Emmys, I don't, but she was great. She was very good, and the story is just compelling. It almost kind of, because I would say up until this point, we have been endeared to Oz Cobb as a character. And you're kind of rooting for him and hoping, he beats Sophia at this game. But after this episode, it just kind of, now you don't know who to root for, because now I'm kind of pulling for Sophia to fucking pop Penguin. It was badass. That ending was so sick.
Very, very, very cool ending, and very hot ending, and everything about this episode was just fucking awesome. That the entire sequence within Arkham was so perfect. Like, I'm trying to think like the movie like Unsane or Cuckoo's Nest, whatever. Like any of those movies, like just getting that like perfect psych ward feel of like. It reminded me of while I was watching it. Do you ever see like that shirt where it's like Gaslight Girl Boss something? You know what I'm talking about?
Gatekeep.
Gatekeep, Girl Boss, Gaslight. That was like the entire episode, basically. Very, very good. Awesome episode. Really, really great stuff. And like it's sort of a departure from the sort of more traditional crime drama it was before. Like this is like that, like you were saying, like the HBO mantle stuff, like elevate next level. This was that. It was so good. Really, really pleased with the series so far.
Yeah, no, the whole Reeves verse. I know some people have bitched online about it being not fantastical enough because the comics, are traditionally like a man in a suit fighting against a bunch of like circus freaks, but it's nice. Like it just works in the medium. Like you got to make adaptations, and the grounded adaptation, Nolan showed it, kind of set up the blueprint, and I think Reeves kind of took it and made it his own thing. It's great. It feels like Gotham feels as much like Gotham as it ever has. I'll go out and say that. I really, really love it. I love the direction DC's heading in with their stuff. Like, feels like very mature content, and this is part of that. Like,
and just like well thought out content too. And I mean, I saw people bitching about that too. Like, oh, well, it's like barely a Batman thing. It's like it's not really supposed to be like this like a side thing about the Sandman or like the reptiles or some shit, like talking reptiles. It's just never what this was meant to be. And like if you watch the Batman, that's clearly not what this universe is supposed to be. Like there's going to be different Batman properties that have that sort of feel to it. I mean, even there's concurrently running things like the Batman animated series that just came out. Like that has all that shit in it in spades. Like this is obviously not trying to be that, and I don't think it should. It would have looked bizarro if they tried that.
No, it's great. Like it's really great. I hope they wrap it up as well as they've started off. That's another thing where it's like Marvel has yet to figure out like to get better after the first episode. This has gotten better, like episode by episode. I think maybe episode 2 was a slight dip, but outside of that, episode 1, great start. And then since then, I've just been along for the ride. I'm not typically a big TV, like the biggest like TV watcher, but this has been, week to week. I can't wait for Sunday night. Like last night, Bengals are playing. Bengals got the second screen treatment. They've been pissing me off this season, but like maybe if we weren't 1-4 coming in, I would have, put them on the main TV. But they got the side screen. I was watching the Penguin, baby. I was watching Sophia fuck shit up.
The Ice Lounge versus Joey Burr. Decisions.
Also, shout out Theo Rossi.
Yeah.
A friend of the pod. Theo Rossi. Great little appearance. He obviously been in the show so far, but he got to shine in this episode.
Speaking of friends of the pod, the franchise, former LCB interviewee Billy Magnuson and my very good friend Richard E. Grant, both crushing it in that show. This series, I think through the 2 episodes, it's super fucking quick, which is like kind of like what you expect, right, out of anything like Iannucci related. And what I like about it, and maybe I'm disappointed is not the right word. Like with like Death of Stalin, like there's a lot of very quietly funny moments. Yes. Or same thing with Veep, a lot of quietly fun. It's more of a muted humor, and a lot of those jokes in the franchise, they don't have like that same level of pop, but like every single line has like a little bit of like a layered joke to it. And I really, really think it's super funny. And some of it, I get worried is too inside baseball for a Matt Steele. But as people who keep up with this general stuff, like it's super damn funny.
Well, like you said, I think this is hilarious. I also don't think I can recommend this to friends. Who don't fall like. I think if you're aware of if you pay attention to Marvel, so that's a lot of people pay attention to like Marvel, their production. I think that's a very mainstream thing to do. Is like all my friends know like the Thunderbolts is coming up, like, or at least not all of them, but like a lot of them know like Thunderbolts is coming up, shit like that. RDJ cast as like Doctor Doom. They know who Kevin Feige is. I think it can play to that crowd. If you're not even in that crowd though, this won't make a lot of sense. Like a lot of this terminology. Like she's talking about the trades. She's making deadline references.
Yeah.
There's stuff in there that it doesn't like first AD even like,
that's a tough one.
Like, I don't know if people even know what a first AD would be. But for us, fuck yeah, this is great. I can't wait to see who they have playing their Kevin Feige figure.
Yeah. What's his name? They keep referencing him. Not Steve. Shit. I forget. But there's a lot of like funny stuff throughout. I think this episode too. I think Billy Magnuson is so perfectly cast as like the insecure new star. You know what I mean? Like this,
dude. I lost a dog, but I also gained one too.
Yeah, and like hit that like it was a banger line, and like he's just like, woof woof, and then the line before that where he's like, "You're the best actor on the planet," and he's like, "No, I'm not." Like
he's like, "Don't make me say it again."
He's so perfect as that role, and honestly, like as like the jilted theater guy, Richard E. Grant is all perfect. Have you watched like the post credit scenes with him?
Yeah, those are really great. Good. That's a very funny bit that they've incorporated. Is like if you haven't watched it, at the end of every single episode, or at least the 2 episodes so far, they set it up like a behind the scenes featurette. And so they interview like Richard Grant. I think he's been both of them so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
No. He was this one, and then the last one was
Magnus
Ramesh Patel.
Yep.
But very, very funny bit where they're just like interviewing them, treating them like real characters, like a real movie production.
This where he's talking about the monkey, and he's like, "It's like working with a chimpanzee."
He's like, "I haven't thought about that chimp in 50 years."
It was so funny.
Definitely, I think people who listen to this pod definitely check it out. Yes. I'll say that much. Like, if you're listening to this, you'll enjoy it.
Not a question in my mind. And another one, I don't know if you've started it yet, Uzumaki.
No. I'll tell you why not. But go ahead and talk about it.
Is it because of how people react to that second episode thing?
Yeah. And the
understandable. So I think I forget. I don't think we had time to mention it last time. So the first episode is awesome, like beautiful, gorgeous to look at. I know fans of like the manga were like, "Holy shit, how do they do this? It looks just like it. It just come to life right off the page." And then the second episode did have like a noticeable dip in quality, and the guys behind it said like, "Look, they basically gave us like an ultimatum, I guess Adult Swim, and they were like, either you give us what you got, or we're gonna scrap it." Which that doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
Or like true. But I mean, if that's true, like it is what it is. You had to put something out. But at the same time, I still think the content and within the first 3 episodes so far, it's super fucking scary. It's really, it's, I keep mentioning it. It like fucks up your real life because the whole thing is about spirals. I have never seen more spirals in my entire life. Like I've never noticed it as a shape, as a concept, and now I see them everywhere I go, and it freaks me the fuck out. Like even right now, like right next to me, I have like my coil is wrapped around like the mic stand, and just like in a tight spiral going up it, and it just it sticks with you. It sticks with you big time. And the last episode was creepy as fuck.
Does the spiral just like suck people off? Sucks people in?
It like. It affects different people different ways, but it like drives them crazy essentially in different in different ways.
I like that.
Like in this one, like they mentioned how like mosquitoes when they mate, they like the males they fly in a spiral pattern in packs, trying to like pick up the female mosquitoes. And like one of the guys says like, yeah, you know, female mosquitoes are the only ones that suck blood, and they only suck blood to feed their eggs. And they're like, oh, okay. And they're in like a hospital while this is going on. And then like that night after they start noticing the spirals, like all of the pregnant women in the maternity ward, like basically turn into human mosquitoes and walk around with like, you ever seen like a hand drill where like you twist it around?
Yeah.
They like walk around with them, shoving them into people, carving holes in them and sucking the blood out for like their unborn kids. It's creepy as fuck. And they look horrifying. Really, I mean, I think maybe it's one of those things where I think the animation in this episode is better than episode 2, but I don't know how other people felt about that. It makes me want to read the manga more.
Yeah, it's always been one of those things that I've meant to get around to because Junji Ito is like considered a legend.
Yeah,
I think this might be his first adapted work, which is crazy. But he's one of those people where the art is just so specific and detailed that it's hard to bring to life in animation.
Yeah,
Warner Brothers dropping the ball on that though. Not a great look.
Shocking.
Not a great look especially when it's like monetary reasons. And I think a time crunch reason.
Yeah.
I think the first production studio is taking a long time, but I always err on the side of like, just take your time on something versus like pumping it out.
I think in my brain, the premier studios or not distributors, platforms for anime right now would be Netflix and Hulu have both made very good ones. Like Chainsaw Man was awesome.
Yep.
Blue-Eyed Samurai was awesome. Even like they're more popular, like based off of like Seven Deadly Sins, whatever that stuff. Like it's all been good and like relatively well received. And like the other Hulu ones too, even their distributed ones have been good. But Max they did Ninja Kamui, which I thought was pretty good. Mm-hmm. They did, and I believe the same guys are the ones that did this. And parts of it are good, and parts of it are whatever. But I don't know. I have a decent amount of trust in Netflix and Hulu right now for anime.
Yeah, Netflix for all their sins in the live action and their unscripted garbage. They do animation really well. I mean, yeah. Blue Eye Samurai, Pluto last year. They did the Devilman Crybaby adaptation. They've done a lot of really the cyberpunk.
Yeah,
cyberpunk they started investing early on that though. I can remember like in high school being like, oh, Netflix is like getting into the anime game, and being like, oh, that feels big.
Yeah.
So I mean, like with most things, Netflix has just been doing it longer. I think it just shows.
Figuring out what works and what doesn't. And they also did I think the last season of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh yeah,
I think, which wasn't terrible. I feel like there's a couple other ones too that I'm missing. But yeah, it's whatever. It is what it is. Ninja Camo is still pretty good, and I think they also have War the Here coming out.
Oh yeah,
not this month.
I'm so interested to see how that pans out because I will say on the big screen it really doesn't do a ton for me. Like that trailer.
The same guy, I believe, that did Uzumaki also did War the Here, like the same like U.S. production guy.
Okay.
Whatever. So that maybe isn't great, but that's also, I think, the same guy that did Ninja Camo. So I don't know. There's the anime world, especially in the U.S. based team side of shit, like so bizarro. But yeah, that's Uzumaki. Lastly, I haven't been watching a lick of Agatha All Along, to be honest with you. After the second episode, I just kind of tapped out, and I was just like, this is a show where, and there's a lot of other Marvel shows like this too. Like they shoot a lot from the hip. Sometimes just like you watch a couple episodes, and you're like, this isn't for me, and not in a bad way. Not like a wow, I have refined tastes, and this is not to my palate. It's like this just isn't designed for a 30-year-old man. Like this is like that's just not what Agatha All Along is for, and that's good. That's fine. Different audiences. Same thing with like Miss Marvel, like all that shit. That's not. I'm not the core audience for that. I have tapped out of it, but I keep seeing people going crazy saying like this. Oh, this kid Locke is Scarlet Witch's kid. I don't know. I haven't kept up with it. Have you?
He's Wiccan. Is Wiccan
a hero?
And they did the Billie Eilish needle drop when he got his crown.
No.
I swear to God. It was like, wait till you see me in a crown.
Wait, no, you're fucking with me.
I swear to God.
No, you're fucking.
I swear.
I'm going to it right now.
This is a show specifically made to be cut up into 60-second fan cams.
For like millennial women, basically.
Yeah, it's really that. I'm sure it's fine.
Have you watched any other of it or any other episodes?
Nope. Like I haven't seen any of it, brother.
Not a single episode?
No.
God damn. They don't even have it on the front banner? Oh, there we go. I know.
There's a good chance like one night, like I'll just be hanging out at home, like especially as we get closer to Halloween, and I'll just like throw it on to see what's going on. But I've had no motivation. Not even a little bit. Nothing I've seen from it looks like it's, like you said, for me. So,
yeah, and again, it's not a bad thing. Oh my God, are they talking to Steven Tyler? What the fuck's going on this show? Or is that not?
Are you sure that's not just Catherine Hahn?
No, he had the hair. That's another thing I popped on in the background over the weekend was Armageddon.
Oh yeah, banger.
One of the most legendary directors things of all time.
The Ben Affleck, yeah.
All right, let's see. Who are these people? What are they doing? Sorry. Oh, you weren't kidding. Holy shit, they really did do it.
I told you.
Oh no. Who is this kid anyway? Oh, whatever.
He's from Heartstopper.
Yeah.
Which, another show. Not for me. So
yeah. So that's well, not really, but it's sort of Agatha All Along. We'll be back next week. I think next week we have let's see, in movies. What do we got? I feel like we're coming up on a bit of a strange spell.
We have that Brothers movie drops this week, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you actually the BTS thing, but that thing they collaborated with us on Instagram. They emailed me about that first, and I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So if you saw us, they saw that request, and we're like, why the fuck did we just collaborate with
brother, them? I accepted immediately. I was like, I'll do anything for this movie.
Yeah. They're like, we have a scene just for you guys. And I was like, yes, absolutely. I was like, we're legitimately excited to watch. So anything you want to do with us, I'm A-okay to do.
Do we live in time? Smile
2. They've been
emailing us about by you. Too. Still limited, but Anora. The Apprentice. You want to talk about The Apprentice?
When does it actually come out?
I think it's out like limited, right? Actually, I think it went wide, but it's just like not playing in a ton of theaters.
Yeah, maybe
limited.
And we can have our good friend call back in and talk about it. Smile 2, I guess, Nora maybe. I think if anything, it would be The Apprentice, but we could just keep going back because we have more good TV coming out, so we can keep on that as well. But yeah, that's the episode. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.